Hi guys, welcome to Drum Dog, and today we are talking about the 6-stroke roll. Now, the 6-stroke roll is a relatively simple rudiment that uses singles as well as doubles that once you got the hang of is really easy to throw around the kit for some super dramatic and fast sounding fills. Now, in today's lesson, we're going to be learning what the 6-stroke roll is, we're going to be learning how to play it with a wide dynamic range, we're going to be learning how to hear it to build up our speed, and then we're going to finally be checking out a few cool ways to throw it around the kit. But first things first, what is a 6-stroke roll? Now, a 6-stroke roll is 6 notes with an accent at the beginning, an accent at the end, and 2 doubles in between. So with a right lead sticking, what we have is right, left, left, right, right, left. And again, that was right, left, left, right, right, left. So we can think of that as a single accent, a double, another double, and a single accent. Now, once we loop that round together, we get those 2 accents right next to each other, which leads for this really nice kind of ga-da-da-da-da-ga-ga sound. So as we loop this round, we get that accent at the end leading straight into the next accent at the beginning. Because of those accents ending up right next to each other as we loop it round, this is a really satisfying sounding rudiment that has this real nice kind of rolling triplet feel. Now, our first step to get this 6-stroke roll feeling a little bit more comfortable is just to simply spend some time on the pad actually playing it. Making sure when we're playing it, we're keeping our accents with a really nice big stick height, so we've got a loud accent, and keeping those non-accent doubles as low down and as close to the pad as we can. That dynamic range is really what brings out the sound of the 6-stroke roll, because without that dynamic range, if they're all sounding the same, you can't really tell the difference. And then with that, we kind of lose the accents of the 6-stroke roll and it just sounds like a single stroke. Now, the first barrier we often hit as we're trying to speed up our 6-stroke roll isn't actually always our hand speed and technique, but can sometimes be how we're actually hearing this rudiment in terms of rhythmic groupings. Now, as we play it slowly, it's quite easy to hear it as 3 groups of 2. But in order to hear this rudiment faster and apply it to shuffle and triplet grooves, as we will be doing on the kit later on, we're going to have to change how we're actually hearing this groove just ever so slightly. And instead of hearing it as 3 groups of 2, we're going to need to hear it as 2 groups of 3. Let me demonstrate. It's much simpler than it sounds. So the first things first, I'm going to decide my speed and I'm going to count off 8th note triplets. 1 triplet, 2 triplet, 3 triplet, 4 triplet. 1 triplet, 2 triplet, 3 triplet, 4 triplet, 1. Now that we're hearing that 6-stroke roll as triplets, we can really feel that midpoint and then speed it up with a much slower pulse in our minds. Once we've got that new grouping feeling comfortable, the next barrier that we will inevitably hit is our hand technique. And the challenge here is playing those doubles up to speed. Now, for anyone who's not confident with their doubles and learning to bounce them with a nice control, I really recommend that you go and check out our Ralph Roll guest lesson on doubles, which you can watch here. But for those of you who are feeling comfortable with doubles, let's move on forward, and now we are going to start thinking about bouncing our doubles inside of our 6-stroke roll. Now, as we start bouncing these doubles, each hand is going to be making 1 stroke per 2 notes. So the first thing we're going to have to think of is the new strokes that we're making, because we're not going to be making an individual stroke for every single note. Our hand strokes are now going to sound like this. 1 triplet, 2 triplet, 3 triplet, 4 triplet. Then with the doubles, and now that we're bouncing those doubles instead of playing them individually, it's a lot easier to start speeding up our rolls. As you speed them up, make sure you keep your dynamic range and make sure your hands are making 1 stroke per double. So make sure we're using that rebound to play that second note only. Now, it can really be a challenge at first to start introducing that 1 stroke per double note, but if you get lost in it, always remember, go back to that initial broken rhythm where we're learning where each stroke sits, and then just add in that little rebound to fill in the full 6 notes. So now that we've got our 6-stroke roll feeling comfortable with a nice dynamic range using the right techniques, it's time to take it to the kit where things start getting really fun. So first things first, we're going to take exactly what we just played on the pad to the snare as a 16th note triplet fill along with a half-time shuffle groove. Let's start off nice and slow so we can get a feel for how this sits with our groove. Now you can feel straight away there the kind of spiciness that this adds into these fills. We get that nice constant roll sound, but with those accents leading into 1 each time that really keeps things moving forwards. Now what's great about the 6-stroke roll is because of the doubles, we've got a nice amount of time in each hand to move those singles around the kit. So first things first, let's try moving them to the toms with the right hand accents falling on the floor tom and the left hand accents falling on tom 1. 1, 2, 3, 4. So obviously for that example there, I've only used the floor tom and the first tom. But these accents are so easy to move around the kit, you really can use any toms, the snare, mixing snare accents with toms. It's one of the real beauties about the 6-stroke roll, is it's so easy to throw those single accents around the kit. The next step is going to be to put them up on the cymbals. Now, naturally, when we're playing cymbals on their own, they're a much thinner sound than a drum, so we're going to be adding that bass drum underneath them to really pull out the accent. Now, with the ability to throw those accents up onto cymbals as well, our ability to orchestrate these 6-stroke rolls around the kit really does open up a whole world of possibilities with this actually fairly simple rudiment. Now, that's it for today's lesson, but this is part 1 of a 2-part lesson on 6-stroke rolls. So if you're interested in delving even deeper into 6-stroke rolls, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and tune in again in a couple of weeks where we're going to look at some even more in-depth and cool sounding orchestrations of the 6-stroke roll. Or of course, unless you're already watching in the future, you can check out part 2 just here. If you guys want to see more lessons like this and full-length lesson packs, don't forget to check out our website, drum.dog, and we'll see you again soon.